In this video, I wanted to explain to you the process that our body goes through in therapy in a healing session and what you can expect if you come to me for a cranial osteopathy session. And the reason I'm making this video is that the title that I've been given, cranial osteopathy, like many other healing titles, is kind of ambiguous. Like, what on earth does that mean? And will this treatment help you? So hopefully in the next couple of minutes, I'll be able to describe things well enough that you'll know if this is the kind of hands-on healing therapy that you would like to receive to help you with the problems that you've got. And I'll talk kind of specifically as well about the type of problems that I've seen over the last 20 or so years since I've been an osteopathic therapist. So when you come for a session, first of all, a little bit about what to expect. So you'll come and there's a treatment table set up and you just lie down on the treatment table and you actually lie down fully clothed. So I can feel through the layers of clothing of how the body, how the tissues are moving, how the joints are moving, the health of the tissues, and where the strain patterns in your body are located. But I do recommend that you come in very comfortable clothing, kind of like leggings and a t-shirt or shorts and a t-shirt. And then the process of the treatment lasts approximately an hour. And it basically is the process of a couple of big things changing in your body and however long that takes. So in my experience, there is a beginning and a middle and an end to each treatment. The beginning, and now we'll get a little bit into what happens in the body through the kind of the healing process, what actually happens in a hands-on therapy session. The process takes about 50 to 60 minutes. And the first stage of a treatment, I put my hands on, and I put my hands on very gently. The way that I treat, I don't use the big kind of chiropractic manipulations. I don't dig my thumbs into muscles. I learned how to do all of that stuff, and I just found that the way that is better for the clients that I work with and where I can do best as a therapist is actually in working in a more subtle way. And it's kind of interesting, the fingertips actually, when you touch something really gently, you have a lot more, you receive a lot more in terms of sensation and feedback. When you press hard, you feel less. That's not to say that at times it's not really lovely to have someone press really strongly into your back to do those stronger chiropractic manipulations. It's just not how I like to work. I really like to feel deeply, so deeply that it's not actually me kind of just figuring out with my mind what you need help with, but I'm feeling the way in which the strain patterns, the fascial connections from place to place have been laid down through your body. Because over time, just like a tree that is blown by the wind, so our body is shaped by external and internal forces as well that lay down imbalances, the scar tissues, the injuries, the postural patterns that we have, the way in which we're dominant right-sided or left-sided, the dental things that you've had, the gut problems maybe that you've had that may cause your posture to change, the illnesses, like if you're asthmatic, if you have autoimmune stuff going on, all of these things factor in to how your body is and the way that you hold yourself and in the way in which your body has tension patterns and is predisposed to future problems and also is predisposed to how well you heal from an injury or illness. And these are all things that I can kind of read, and I read that with my hands, with my fingertips. So when I put my hands on, let's say at your ankles to get a sense of how your legs are balanced, how your hips are oriented, and further up, it's really like putting the hands on and feeling a river. And the feel of the river is through the current of your nervous system, your lymphatic system, your arterial and venous system. And it also holds within it a quality of vitality, which perhaps is the same as in Chinese medicine, the quality of qi. It has an energetic kind of vibrancy to it, and that's really what tells me how well, how full of energy and health your body is, or what's lacking and what we really need to work on. And so there's this seeking phase at the beginning of a treatment, which is me feeling and connecting with your body, the health, which is expressed in the vitality and the strains, and me figuring out what's going on. And also there's this kind of like an unspoken communication that starts, where it feels to me like the body starts to show things like, oh, okay, all right, we're going there, this is this strain pattern. And I start to orient, and the body starts to orient and circle around the place that needs to be the starting point, the primary focus. So let's say you come to me with a knee injury, and I put my hands on, and I feel the problems in the tissues of your knee. But then I also have to feel what else is going on, why that knee has been set up for an injury. And it may just be a traumatic thing, like you were kicked in the knee and there's the injury. Or it may be that your injury kind of crept up because you had a strain that was pulling your rib cage a little out of balance, which was setting your hips up to be imbalanced. And then the knee is such an interesting joint because it's kind of stuck between lots of movement at the hip and the ankle, and it's the place that has to accommodate. So sometimes I have to go elsewhere. Or let's say you have been struggling with your jaw, or with ear congestion, sinus congestion. Well, then I need to figure out, okay, well, what's going on in this whole complex here where the tension is kind of locked down, and what's going on with the drainage through the throat back into the chest, and is the drainage place, so i.e. where our chest has to receive the drainage from the head and the neck, is there something going on here in the rib cage and the thoracic spine that's kind of making things tight? So then where do I need to work? So it's like this incredible detective process of figuring things out with my hands, not just figuring things out with my head. And I love it so much because I'm really being true to what your body needs, because I am feeling. And I keep feeling, going, okay, well, is that the main thing? Or is there something else? Because sometimes the body, the first things that it shows is sort of the more superficial layer. And then I've done this work for enough time that I know how to go, okay, let me sort you into the kind of more superficial, yes, I'll get to you category, and what's deeper, what's really at the heart of things that's causing you to be having the problem that you're having. So there's this orientation seeking phase, I kind of call it. And then there's the settling in to actually doing the work. And that's where actually I get pretty quiet and I'm really feeling, and your body is starting to build energy. And this is really key, because if you're lacking in energy, if you've struggled with adrenal fatigue, you're exhausted, you've had some immune problems, sometimes the first session is actually about restoring energy, resetting, helping the nervous system so that there's enough energy to do good healing work. And I never know until you come for a treatment if this is going to be what we need to work on, or if we can get right to actually fixing things. So the first session, maybe we fix things, or maybe the fixing is actually restoring a really deep wellness to your being through doing nervous system work and helping to reduce inflammation. So let's say we get to that point where there's enough energy in the body. There's really some magic that starts to happen, and it's incredible. The process where the body starts to orient in, and I just am following with my mind, with my sensitive hands, where the strains are. I'm really like following like a curvaceous stream with dams, with eddies, with places that are blocked, and really figuring out where the stream is taking us. And at the epicenter of the problem, like a knot that is so tangled up with all these different threads, okay, where is the place where we start to actually be able to create some space to pick apart those threads so that everything can come back to balance? And the body knows what health is. The body has many different incredible ways of knowing how to return to health, but it often needs a helping hand. And there's a reason that therapists have been around. We are so needed, and all of us, including us as therapists, need to go to other people for healing work. We can't fix everything ourselves. A good therapist knows how to put their hands on and figure out where the strains are coming from and unweave the patterns of tension so that the body can get on and do the healing work that it's desperately trying to do, but sometimes there's just too many blockages in the way. So the healing happens, and after the healing, there's a resolution phase, there's a rebalancing phase, there's a phase of recuperating more energy, and energy that's been kind of, because energy, when you have an injury, energy gets kind of tangled up trying to resolve the problem. So there's actually a nice release of energy after the thing has been resolved, after the injury illness has been resolved, where you actually start to feel just like, oh, okay, all right, the burden is gone. I feel more like myself again, in ways that we kind of forget, because when we're adapting around stress and strain and illness, we are just so focused, consciously and unconsciously, on what's going on, that the coming home to ourselves is like this magical gift that is an unexpected one very often, because we have forgotten how lovely it feels just to be grounded and centered, and then with a sense of your vitality, that word I used at the beginning, and your vitality is quite unique to you. And so then the end of the process, this 3-part process where we kind of figure out what is going on, the seeking phase, we settle in around something, the healing phase, and then the restoration phase. And you might be wondering whether or not still I can help you. And the things that I love to work with, TMJ problems, ear, nose, throat, sinus, headachy problems. I love to work with specific joint problems as well. So if you've had a strain, or you've had a dislocation, or you've got a repetitive strain injury, those kind of things I love to work with. I also love to work with issues that are related to old scar tissue in the body, old injuries that you're like, oh, I just feel like I've had these things in the past, and I want to know if they're setting me up for problems, or I have a sense that I've got a bit too much tension on this side of my body, or from this old injury. Could you just have a look and see? And there's always work to be done in the body. I've never met a person where I put my hands on and I'm like, oh, you're perfect, amazing. No, we all have our strains, and we all need help. So even if you're just not sure, then I'll be able to find something and help you. And it's such wonderful work. In fact, I love it when people come to me and they're like, could you just figure some stuff out? Because then we can start to look back at what's happened in the past and resolve things. But I also love to do work with, like, okay, here's a project, here's a healing project. And living where I do, near the ocean, there's a lot of us who really need help with our eardrums and releasing the jaw, so that actually we're not getting clogged up with ear, nose, throat issues. And then the other thing that I really like to help with is emotional stuff, anxiety, the kind of when we hold emotional stuff in the body, which again we all do. So often we have like a tension pattern in the chest, or we have a tension pattern kind of in our solar plexus gut, which actually might be causing some digestive upset. There's another work I really like working with digestive problems, with nausea, difficulty with digestion. That's so the work that I do can really help with digestive issues, as well as helping with period pain and lots of good organ work that can be done with the cranial osteopathic work that I do. And so, if you're here still listening, I trained as a cranial osteopath some 20 years ago, and I went to osteopathy school for 5 years in England, and I learned all kind of the standard stuff, which is very similar to physiotherapy and chiropractic and massage. It's like if you group those therapies in, osteopathy is just hands-on healing work with a really good scientific background. And also it has within it, and what I came to love and why I do the more subtle work, a real kind of understanding and curiosity about the nature of healing as being something that is also emotional and mental, and this quality of vitality, which is a beautiful, almost some would say energetic, probably is energetic quality to it, that I love so much, feeling that the chi, the energy, the vitality of the body. It is so profoundly beautiful. So when I started training, very early on in my training, I had a couple of healing experiences where I was like, oh, there is magic in healing. Oh, those kind of old-time healers that I, read about and heard about in what seemed just like stories. This is real. There is magic and hands-on healing. And so through curiosity, I went and I found this person and that person and had wonderful healing experiences. And then I found a 2-year biodynamic craniosacral course, which I took along with osteopathy, which was then to train me how to use my hands in a very subtly, deeply perceptive way. And that became the way in which I then treated. I moved to Canada, and me and my ex-husband created a really big clinic, and we were really successful, and it was, you know, really amazing, and an amazing time for 10 years having a big clinic in Canada. And then, you know, as with many chapters in our life, I got tired of working with so many people, and with my children were young, and I wanted to write, and I wanted to live in the sunshine. And so things changed, and Ed and I sold our clinic and we moved to Nicaragua. And my passion has been in many forms of medicine, creativity, and movement. And so right now, I have a beautiful medicine farm where I do healing work, and I also do medicinal work with plants and also with movement. And so this video obviously is about the hands-on therapy work, which I just so love doing, and I love as well bringing the richness. So when you come to me, I'm telling you those extra things. When you come to me for a session, I will likely also, after a good hands-on healing session, send you away with a big bag of medicinal herbs, and perhaps send you also a couple of movement medicine videos, because the work that you do outside of the hands-on healing is vital and is often, you know, I see so many people who are just doing the things that they were told by a therapist or an exercise person years and years ago. So that often is something that we can look at refreshing and bringing some new movements, so that you've got some really good new things to be helping you with the current issues in your body. So please reach out, and please do come and have a healing session here at my farm, Apote Finca, in southern Nicaragua. And let's do some really good work so that we can set you up for the next decade of your life with less of the issues that you've carried forwards to this point, and also healing the newer issues, the newer injuries that you may suddenly be discovering you have, and not just having it laid down as something else that then gets an added layer. So if we can deal with something now, if it's a new thing, then so much better than storing it in your body as something to deal with later on down the road. So I will see you in my treatment room, which is right here, or sometimes on my rooftop studio right above me.